Okay, that was season 1, episode 8 of Mob Psycho. I'm sweating. I cannot express to you the amount of joy I feel right now with the direction that this series is going.
Yes. I thought it was just gonna be Mob as an Esper, and maybe he meets some like people who are also Espers every once in a while. And I did not think it was gonna go into like all of these kid Espers getting kidnapped by this like evil Esper organization.
I know.
And that Ritsu was gonna be so... I didn't know Ritsu was gonna be so involved.
Yeah.
I thought that Mob and him were gonna have an interaction this episode, and then Ritsu was just gonna like not be so in it anymore, and he wasn't gonna keep developing his powers, or maybe he would, but at like a slower scale, because Dimple wasn't gonna be helping. Agreed. This is not what I pictured.
Agreed. You're back. Okay, I'm back. Sorry, I need to take a second to cool off. Yeah, I am incredibly happy with the direction that the show's going. Like, don't get me wrong, I was nothing but enjoying it up until now. Like, I was loving every second of it. But this is such a cool route to take.
I think it actually made me be... You were definitely, like, I was enjoying it, but you were... There's some shows and sometimes where one of us is a little ahead of the other in how into something we are, especially at first. Human. I mean, it's only like the first season. It's a couple shows in, you know. And I was like, okay, I dig it. I like the characters. I like the universe. This is fun. You know, it is not fun. It is not fun in games. This show is not fun in games. This guy literally was cool with killing people. And he even admitted to being an asshole. Yeah,
I think I had a lot of not sentimental, like just subjective love for just the art, animation and stuff, but like objectively I'm starting to really, really love like where it's going and how they're using the characters in the show. Like you said, using Ritsu in this way is so much better than I thought it would, thought that they were going to use him.
I'm kind of mad at myself in a way for thinking that this art style and how the show started. I think my first prediction was this was going to be the type of show where it was like, oh, slice of life, but psychic boy who sometimes has people he has to defeat or spirits he has to defeat.
Yeah.
And that's the route I thought it was going, was much more like different villain or different circumstance every episode, but he's moving through his schooling year and he's making friends. And it's, I think I was thinking maturity level, it was maybe more like you'd watch it on a Sunday morning as a younger kid, you know? And now I'm like, oh, they were just trying to like trick you a little bit by the art style being so creative and fun.
It's so funny that you mentioned the Sunday morning as a kid. I felt like that during the fight scene so much. Like I was so hyped. I felt like a little kid watching Dragon Ball Z for the first time.
But it's so dark.
Yeah.
I feel like whenever I watched fight scenes as a kid, there was never it's like as a kid you never, maybe it's just because I couldn't access that as a kid, the idea of death. Mm-hmm. Or really actually hurting someone and blood and punching them in the gut multiple times, you know? Maybe I just didn't understand the gravity I do now. But I can't think of an example of where I saw something like that and the gravity was that the person could die.
Well, I think it's so if I watched Dragon Ball Z for the first time today, I think I definitely would not have enjoyed it as much as I did when I was a kid. I think the reason I enjoyed this so much is because it has that darker element, and it's it's very aware of itself in the sense of when to pick and choose those comedic moments. They understand the characters so well that they're able to twist and turn them in very dark, real ways as well as goofy ways. If I'm honest, I know Mob said no, you're joking. That's not true. Only half of it's true. I kind of see how it could be based in reality, that delusional admiration.
I think a lot of it is true. I think there's hints of it that are true, but I think the major lies come from where Ritsu talks about not feeling like they the closeness that they were and any like familial love there. I think that was a lie, because Ritsu's reaction to Mob starting to fight back against this hooded guy was not that of fear that he was going to go unconscious and become this other thing. It was not that. He hated it. It appeared to me that he hated watching his brother get beat up.
It seems like Ritsu, funny enough, like handles emotions in extremes. Like, he was very scared and built up this thing that he like interpreted to be like fear and hatred towards Mob, and then went extreme with it, saying like there's no connection. And then through the fight, like, you can see him caring.
He's just a dramatic boy.
Which is so funny because he's like such like a normal boy too. But when he said like, so I did my best not to stress you out in any way, I believe that. Whether it's true or not, I believe it.
But it doesn't, I don't think trying your best to not stress someone out, I don't think the full reason would be that you were scared of them. Because it could also be you don't want to see him like that. Not because you're scared of him all the way, but there has to be other emotions added into it. It needs to be more complex than just a fear.
I think it is more complex because we could never even have a fight as brothers. That's building.
Sad.
It's sad, and it's like a resentment and bottling up that grows and festers over a course of so long.
Yeah, he had this growing resentment of always trying to keep Mob happy and be a good little brother. And he didn't get to he always had to be on edge. It's like both of them always had to keep their emotions in check. Well, isn't that interesting that both of them had to do that?
They have that parallel.
Yeah.
Like, there's there in Mob's recollection of like when he was about to wake up at Teru's house, when he's like remembering, if something's bothering you can talk to me, and Mob's like, thanks Ritsu, but I'm fine. They don't show it here, but like Ritsu's like, I see, smiling, and then turns away. They do kind of show it. I feel like it's like smiling, and then the second he turns away, it's like straight face, you know?
It's because he had to spend so many years just trying that it became fake.
Yeah, and like I believe that. I think that is really awesome, like motivation and feeling in a character. I am glad that we got the last few episodes with Ritsu to really develop him a bit, so this doesn't feel like out of nowhere. It's funny that Dimple just like ran away.
It's I really love when characters have kind of misplaced energy, and I feel like Ritsu has misplaced his resentment that he has grown himself, and he's misplaced it, and he's misconstrued it, and he's created it into these other almost things that have their own life form inside of him of emotions. And that's what resentment does. That's what it does. It festers, and then it takes on a life of its own, and it projects onto someone else, and they become basically the person to blame, or, you know, it's as if they have wronged you. When really, Mob hasn't wronged Ritsu. Ritsu has wronged himself by trying so hard all over these years to not, maybe out of fear and maybe a little bit out of fear, but he's built this up himself.
I understand it. Like, I understand why he did, because I'd be terrified too. But
I think that it's, I don't know, I really like that. I think he realizes that it is his doing as well, and he shouldn't be mad at Mob. Never did anything on purpose to make him mad, and it's kind of sucky and embarrassing, and there could be a hint of him that's feels shame about this resentment that's growing, and that heightens the emotions even more.
I think so.
He's feeling like 5,000 negative emotions on top of each other.
You're all you're gonna do is see red. Like, there's not gonna be any positives that you can see. I love that. I love how Mob's like, there's no getting rid of me. Like, it's their brothers. The fact that this evil dude is named Sakurai, I could totally be reaching, but it's very similar to the word samurai, and he's a psychic with a sword, and I love that. I love that there's a psychic with a sword. What a cool idea.
Oh, I love that idea of, like, having control of a weapon, like, in the air.
Have you seen Guardians of the Galaxy?
Yes.
There's a character, Yondu, who can whistle and control, like, a little, like, arrow.
Yes. Okay.
It reminds me of that a bit. I never expected, because I know of the show One Punch Man and the manga of One Punch Man, I never expected there to be rival to Mob, like a foe, I guess, and like somebody to stand up to him. And technically, Mob didn't really lose because of the spray, whatever that was.
Right, but they did have a means to get away.
Yes, it was the closest. It's by far the biggest test of strength Mob has had to endure.
Then what do you think of Ritsu's decision to agree to go with? Is it because he saw his brother get knocked out by this spray, or he saw him getting beat up? You know, what was his reasoning for agreeing to go? Did he think Mob wouldn't be able to win?
Maybe.
Or did he not want to trouble Mob?
Maybe
anymore?
He didn't think he'd win, or maybe he didn't want to awaken anything after that, lack of consciousness.
Because if you awaken that, as Teru said, I'd probably get away from him, you guys. Yeah. He's still dangerous. I mean, Ritsu could have a point. Like, if we're all here when he reaches that point, none of us will be okay.
The whole, system of the percentage lends itself to such cool moments, like when you see, in the bottom right of the screen, while Mob is gripping onto him, and it's just a gradual speedy increase in percentage. It is so cool. How can you not just be okay, the animation for the show is next level, holy shit, up there with Demon Slayer, as far as I'm concerned, in just how I feel about watching it. It's so cool.
Question. Why does the guy not want to try to take Mob with him?
There's something about Shigeo.
Well, they're looking for young espers that don't have tons of... who aren't, super, super strong, so easy to control, easy to brainwash.
Yeah.
So... That would make sense that he'd want to take Kageyama Shigeo, because by the reports from the place that Ritsu was training at, it would be that he wasn't super strong.
Correct. And they wouldn't want to take Mob, though.
Because they're not going to be able to brainwash him.
I love, this was a great line. Mob has great lines, and the art was amazing. This is the first time this has happened. Can you feel it? My animosity.
Does that mean that's the first time he's ever felt animosity?
I think so. I mean, he's
his face though.
He's fighting another human, dude. And he is very he cried knowing that he couldn't handle himself and control his emotions that weren't even his versus Teru.
So if this is animosity, then when he was a kid with Ritsu, would you say that was fear?
It wasn't him. Kid? It wasn't 100%. It was the other thing. It was question mark.
Knocked unconscious?
Yeah.
So it wasn't triggered by an emotion?
Agreed. That's what I think, yes. Truthfully, you could pause any frame of the action sequence this episode. Any frame.
That's so cool.
And it's absolutely gorgeous and amazing and stylistic to the point of, what is that? It looks
so cool.
It's so gorgeous, and I love...
all of them, every, screen cap you can get from this, every frame is, art.
Really? Truthfully, I could hang any of them up on my wall, and I just can't praise the art enough. I can't praise the show enough at the moment. I'm excited to see where they're going. Claw is the name of the organization. They have over 100 psychics.
And they kidnap children.
I bet you they tried to kidnap Reagan. He was just too strong.
I actually am really excited that these other kids are gonna have more, be in the story more than just Ritsu walks in and meets them and that's it.
I mean, they all agree.
We were given names for all of them and their abilities. So now it's great because we already have that background knowledge of them and they're actually gonna be...
I completely agree.
They're probably going to be getting stronger themselves.
I'm
Which is
excited
gonna be
for
so
it.
cool.
Yeah. One thing, I love like the clothing in this show too.
Like Teru's sweater.
Yeah, it's great. I love it so much, man.
Oh, and the ending where Teru lifts Mob up and Mob's like, "What you doing, Hanazawa?"
There's one more thing I wanted to say before we close out. I'm trying to find it here. So like for like a good 3 minutes in the background audio, it sounds like squeaking. Yeah.
Yeah, that helps with the unsettled feeling.
It's so
that you
unsettling.
get. Yeah, that's what does it. I mean, like, music is super powerful in shows. I mean, like, really, like, if that hadn't been there, I don't know if we would have been heightened to the point of, like, you feel this show in your stomach. I don't know if that's just, like,
that's
us.
a great way to put it.
Or maybe it's because we have headphones on, because sometimes the headphones, like, you actually hear all those little tiny sounds, and it helps the immersion. So I don't know if it's just us that are feeling so, like, it's
Very
in
well
your
could be.
tummy, like the pit of your stomach, like, unsettled.
That's one thing that I'm so, like, before we started AutoSave, like, I was so adamant about us wearing headphones during this because, like, I watch reaction channels, I watch TV shows. One thing that I feel like hurts a reaction for me is like the idea of a distraction or like a third party or like them, like we comment, but for 99% of the time we can still hear the dialogue.
That or we can't even hear what each other are saying. Like,
yeah.
A lot of the time we're kind of just like in our own little boxes, and we just happen to be sitting next to each other.
Really helps the enjoyment of the show for any show for me, and it makes me appreciate each. There's 100 people behind each episode of a show who are very meticulous in planning and intentional with every sound that is added, every score that is written, every line that is drawn, and to be able to like really appreciate all of that work is so cool. I don't know what is the spray is, but it's red and it makes me sad that it can make espers or maybe anyone unconscious.
And it's a spray that, because it's not a psychic power or a physical thing, and it's like it makes me wonder, so element wise or particle wise, Mob can't block a spray. That means he can't block things at like a gas level.
That's
you know,
so interesting.
like if he can block a punch, like a physical punch, or he can block psychic powers, can he block liquid?
That's such an interesting point. Like gaseous, like, oh, that's so cool.
And maybe that's why it's invented, because the air and the particles in it can't. That's something that only maybe like the top level could be able to block out and create their own bubble of air.
That's such a good point, because it's like, is it something more than just a spray then? Is it like condensed an extract of something psychic that would let it like seep through that shield?
Can Mob create a barrier so strong that keeps oxygen in that he could like go into the water?
That's such a good question. I would love to know how that works. I love that you brought that up. That's such a cool process. You know what was handled really well?
It's a knife.
It's a knife, yeah. Like, but when they said like he has a knife, I'm like, this is so weird. Are they intentionally not showing the knife for like censorship reasons?
Yeah,
like what are they doing?
Also, like, why is he trying to kill Mob with a knife? Like, I don't know. It was just, and how could a knife get through a barrier? I'm so glad it was something else, because I didn't understand what.
It's kind of cool that they like didn't show anything that even resembled the knife.
Because it was a surprise. It was supposed to be a big reveal that it was this spray.
Just kidding. Oh my god.
Get him to weaken his barrier because he was blocking what he thought was a knife. And then as soon as he breaks it down, you go, pew!
Teru's the best friend of all time.
And Teru was smart to bring him to his house, especially because he lives alone. Because if Mob came home and Ritsu wasn't home and Mob looked like that, Mob's parents would freak out.
Yeah. You wonder how Reagan's gonna fit into the situation.
Reagan's gonna have a talking to with Mob about missing days of work, so.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm very excited.
Mob might need to Mob might feel like he should go to Reagan for advice.
Yeah.
And Reagan's gonna be like, oh, yes, top organization of the strongest, most dangerous espers in the whole world.
Claw.
Yeah, I could totally take them.
Claw, I've heard of these. Lobsters have them. I'm just so excited. I'm very excited for the show to continue.
Me too.
Wonder how Dimple's gonna fit in.
I kind of just want Teru's hair to go back to normal, though.
Me too.
It's distracting me. It was funny at first, and now I might find it slightly distracting.
I think it's more funny that it's distracting. It's so intentional. What's he gonna do? Grow it back? Like, he doesn't Alright, you good?
Yeah.
Cool. Thank you guys so much for watching this video. Please like, comment, and subscribe, and we hope to see you next time.
It's distracting me. It was funny at first. It's distracting me. It was funny at first. It's distracting me.
It's distracting me.